Great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited. As soon as I stepped off the flight, I said to Boaz when he picked me up, I was like, oh my God, it's so nice to be in Southern Europe, because my father's Greek, so I feel really at home in Southern Europe. And I love my home in Finland, and I love being here too. So thank you for having me. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for being here. Okay, wait a second. This is.
So I'm really excited. You're part of the reasons of bringing you to Portugal to start with, and generally is my fascination with the couples work that you offer and your maps and everything.
Yeah, so actually I was very lucky just at the beginning of my path. You know, many people usually have teachers or role models or others who are single or who are not necessarily so supportive of couples. Mm-hmm. And I was really lucky that from the beginning, my teachers, whether that was in Tantra, neo-Tantra, or my self-development, my therapist, it was always a support there for me to be in a relationship and to grow through that. So that has been my my imprint from the beginning, and it's been absolutely it's been something that I can lean on instead of like doubting that, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be in a couple, or like, you know, I'm being enmeshed, or I'm codependent, or I'm this or I'm that. It's more like, let's look at what's alive, what's coming up in you as a result of being in a couple. We don't have to do away with the couple. We use it as a laboratory to grow.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of doing it unconsciously, let's see how consciously we can do it. And so that has been the input from the beginning, from 2005, really, 13 years ago with Taki'h, that when I met her. So yeah, I've been blessed. And I know it's not the case for most people. I know for most people there is some doubting and also advice sometimes against couples.
Yeah.
Like a contradiction almost, right?
Yeah.
Meaning there's some tension between being in a couple or a committed relationship and exploring a path that has anything to do with Tantra or conscious sexuality or aware intimacy.
Yeah, but even in the personal growth domain in general, even if you're not in Tantra or sacred sexuality, it's like if you're always evolving somehow, like when a person is evolving, she might be afraid that the other person's not going to follow, you know, it's not going to be able to evolve as fast, like catch up.
Yeah, so, you know, the truth is when I first started, I was in a relationship. I think we had been together a year, and I quit my job. I was a diplomat at the time in Delhi. And I quit my job, and I said I was just going to quit for like a couple months. Or at first it was 6 months, then it was a year. And I started to do meditation courses, Osho-based, you know, not even neo-Tantra. I mean, I did a die before you die course. I did a Mystic Rose where you cry, and you know, I mean, it wasn't at all even Tantra related at the time. But he was very, that brought tension to our relationship. Also because I was gone, and I was from our home, and also I was changing in ways that he couldn't understand. And so the way he responded to that was, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. And so of course the relationship didn't last very long. So my suggestion, my advice to couples who one of them wants to go deeper into themselves is really to just remember that change is something that is a fact of life. Everything that is alive is in constant flow and change and evolution and metamorphosis, so change of form. We may not be able to see it always, like how a flower blossoms, but we see from one day to the other, okay, it was closed, now it's open, something like that. And to understand that, okay, I've met this person, I've married this person, or I've had children with this person, or you know, whatever the story might be, and now they are changing. Yes, they are blossoming into whatever the spring is. And to understand that as part of life, as opposed to that this is something wrong. Yeah, that this is something that is great, actually, and this is something that's just real. This is something we all go through, either faster or slower in different times. And actually, I saw a beautiful Facebook, one of those, memes thing, that said something like, that over time, don't try to hold the person back from who they're becoming. Just fall in love with the new person that you have. And if you can, and sometimes you can't, and they've changed in a way that isn't right or doesn't match you anymore. And that also happened to me. I was in a relationship for 8 years with a man I deeply love, still deeply love. We just evolved in such different ways over those 8 years that we weren't compatible anymore to be partners, to be life partners anymore. So the form of relationship can change. It doesn't mean the love has to be deleted. And it hasn't been in my case. But it is true that there are times where it does lead to separation. And so you can evolve together, and then there may be a threshold, and then, okay, there's separation. But to just decide, is that the price? And this is actually, I battled this for 2 years in my last relationship, that do I hold myself back? And not evolve? Because I want to keep this relationship, because I love this person so much, because there's, it's great. And I tried to find a way, and it was very painful for both of us. And ultimately, I didn't find a way. We didn't find a way, and so we did part as husband and wife, as lovers, as partners in life. But that's an individual, obviously an individual choice, and that takes the time that it takes. And I just finally, at one point, my answer was not, it's a no to this man or a no to this relationship. It never was. It's a yes to all of me. And whoever can resonate, and whatever can resonate with that, stay. And whatever doesn't, I can't fit that box anymore. So it was it was a yes to me, not a no to him or to our relationship. And so again, I went through such learning, actually, just in that process of breaking up. It was, again, for me, that relationship and all relationships are an opportunity to grow, to learn, to evolve. It's a way that you know yourself. It's a way that you can obviously go into deeper intimacy with yourself, but also with your partner, but with the world itself, with karmic lessons about this life. And some relationships are there because there's some healing that's needed, or maybe there's some, karmic things that need to be worked out from before, and they take their evolution and their time and space, and that's that. And
they run their course.
They run their course. Thank you. And then other ones are more longer, or for other purposes. So I can say the relationship I'm in right now, that relationship, the one that was for 8 years, was there for healing. If it had not been for him, there is no way I would have done most of the things that I did, because he was my anchor. He was like what I could lean on. There so many things were changing, but he was like, okay, but I know you and you know me and we love each other. Okay, great. And so I know that I would not probably have done what I have done in the pace that I have done it, or in the depth that I had done it, if it was not for that relationship. And I'm very grateful for that. And so it was a relationship that was mostly there that we could heal some of our core wounds. And the relationship I'm in now is not that. And so it has a different dynamic.
That resonates in the sense that sometimes I feel like Boaz and I are constantly working. Like constantly processing. Like the relationship is very enjoyable, but it's also like a full-time retreat, like always focused on growth. And sometimes I wonder, like, if we're really finding the right balance between working, like really being as conscious and as aware as we can, and moving through our triggers and wounds, and how to keep it light.
Right.
Because basically it accelerates everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, it does. Being in an intimate relationship does accelerate everything. It accelerates the growth. And with that comes some growing pains, just like, TV. Normal.
Yeah,
Normal.
Like that. Growing.
So how to keep it light, or how to balance that out. One good advice that I've gotten from a couple of different teachers, so I find value that they don't know each other, they're different realms. So this helps me feel like, oh, okay, maybe there is a truth to that, so I'll pass that on, is that see what you can process or share or whatever in 20 minutes. 20 minutes sounds like nothing, I know. But
So there's a 20 limit cap.
Okay, wait. So, you can maybe, 7 minutes me, 7 minutes you, 5, like 10, whatever, 8, and then we just have a resolution moment or whatever, and then let it sit. And then let it sit. And let it simmer, and let it take its course, let it just sit. And then come back to it. And because, once you get that initial whatever needs to be expressed out, if you go that course, actually if you had waited till the next day, it would have been so much quicker or so much easier or so much, less projection, less entangled, less fiery,
More
less
conscious.
Yeah. So that initial 20 minutes of okay, powwow, right? Putting our hands on the table, all right, go. Okay, my turn. Okay, bye.
That's it. One sharing each.
You guys, if you want to do 3 minutes, whatever, break it 20, 25 minutes up as you want. And then let it sit. And then also when the other person is sharing, of course, and there was 20 minutes, is then, you're really listening, you're as attentive as you can to it.
Yeah.
But also when you are that fired up, maybe you're not as able to listen. And so in that time, it's best that you actually just let things settle. And it will be so much more conscious, loving of a process to come together later, after the dust has settled.
Yeah.
So that's how you can bring more balance and to really I'll talk about some tools in a little bit, but to really, for me, it helps me that I can see the 5-year-old in my partner.
Oh.
And that's a 5-year-old I would never want to hurt. And that's a 5-year-old I want to play with and laugh with.
Yeah.
And so one is the I'm not going to hurt you bit, and the other bit is, all right, let's just, have a pillow fight, or we'll both just scream, okay, and play.
Yeah.
Play. So that to me is helping keep it light without avoiding, without distracting.
Yeah.
That, okay, now I'm going to go to a bar, or I'm going to have, my boys' night, girls' night, whatever, kind of, not that that's not needed or not useful, but what I'm trying to say is you can still make it light without having to
running away from each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can manage that. But again, it helps me that I can see the 5-year-old be like, my God, I would never want to hurt you. And I just want to, rolling hay with you, or, whatever.
So really the child in the other also, not just in ourselves.
In the other. This is the thing. We mostly focus on the child in ourselves. And sometimes that actually helps us get, it sides us with a more wounded part. And when we don't see that the other is also in that space, then you're just back in that movie of someone's trying to hurt me, someone is trying to do harm to my inner child, or to my vulnerable space, or to my whatever's coming up in me. It's like me against them. But if we are 2 5-year-olds sorting it out with pebbles, in a playground.
Then it's not the same.
No, it's very different.
State of mind.
There's no educating parent.
Right, there's no higher authority, there's no right and wrong, there's no judgment, there's just fun and play and like, yeah. Yeah. So that's what helps me. Yeah.
Another question that comes is that the more I'm on this path, the more I heal people, right? So what's challenging for me is the more I'm going to feel when Boaz is, you know, in a very happy mood or in a very stressed out mood, whatever. And of course, I know I can't blame him for feeling whatever he feels. He can't be like super hyper all the time. I feel like I'm kind of flowing with that too. Like I can't completely dissociate from it. And vice versa. I mean, he also feels me. So how do, like, you know, how are we able to connect despite, you know, dragging each other down or also lifting each other up?
Right. So to not lose yourself.
Yeah.
In the presence of either highs or lows of the other.
Exactly.
And especially as it grows to become more intense, how much we feel each other when the more the intimacy deepens.
Right. So I can say I have that with my partner, and I can, for example, I can be in a different room, and there's been times where I can feel him in my body, and I'm like, I know this isn't mine. And of course, this takes the ability to recognize when something is yours and something is not yours. So this may not come as easy to some of you, but let me just put this out there that in the realm of possibilities, this can happen. And I'll say, you know, or if he's in my presence and I'm feeling, for example, some buzz, some, are you angry? Is there any, are you okay? Did something happen? And he'll say, oh, I'm fine. Or he'll say, let me check. Eventually, he goes to the point of saying, let me check. But in the beginning, it might be like, no. And then after some minutes, he'll be like, oh, yeah, actually, I'm still carrying whatever I'm carrying from that meeting or from whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't even aware of it, or if he was aware of it, whatever, but he hasn't moved it through. And so then I'll say, you know, it's really hurting me physically. Can you attend to this? And I'll talk about this also in the tools, that regular emotional hygiene, self-hygiene, the way you brush your own teeth and the way you shampoo your own hair, regular emotional self-hygiene is a key part to being able to grow together and go deeper into intimacy, because you will start to feel each other, you will start to think each other, you will start to feel each other across continents and so forth. And so then what happens? So we each in the couple need to take care of our own hygiene, emotional hygiene. And when we don't, and the other person is feeling that, okay, this is the moment where I ask, is there something maybe that you need to attend to? And if it's not something that's like that needs processing, moving through, but it's just an elation and actually I don't want to be carried through that, then, you know, I can just in my own system be happy, but also to recognize that I will be affected. I am not separate. If I'm willing to go into such deep intimacy with this person, it's not something I can turn on and off at will. And that's okay. And I can recognize that, okay, he's in this high and I'm actually, that's not my truth, and I can be happy for him. And with that recognition that, yes, I can still feel you, and I don't have to be carried away by you. Because the more you try to like, no, but I'm in this space, I'm in this more meditative space, or I'm in, you know, whatever, and you're in this bubbly space or whatever, the more you're going against that which you've been building, which is this intimacy and this connection, right, this depth. So actually to recognize, okay, I can feel you, and that's not where I'm at right now, and I'm working through something else, and let me be happy for you, or, you know, blessings to you. And then with that, it's like, it just eases. Because when you fight it, then it becomes stronger. And then it just eases, and then you can just, okay.
And I would maybe even add to that, it's like to find ways to rejoice in the ability to see that we're feeling each other so deeply.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of like that this is a problem now, that this is what you've actually been working on and working for and want. Or maybe not even working, but it is the fruit of other relating aspects that you have, and then actually to rejoice it, celebrate it, know how special it is, how precious it is. For me, even though I can feel like really like pain or contraction or whatever in my body when my partner might be going through something and hasn't processed it, I still know that it's, even though it's hurting me physically, that I still know it's absolutely a gift that I can experience that.
Yeah, so true.
And actually, this is the part of that being in a conscious relationship, in an intimate relationship, and working on the intimacy is a way that you both have a chance to grow. And so if I'm not in that space, I'm in meditative space, you're in like bubble space, like bubbly, hyperactive space, then if I want to like, you know, tone you down kind of thing, then this isn't a conscious relationship. This isn't, I'm saying there's something wrong with that, or you've got to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And so it's a space where you both can grow and evolve. Right.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
It's either you're going like against the connection or in that direction, no matter how painful it can be sometimes. That's okay too.
Yeah. It's not like it's a conscious relationship is all roses.
Of course.
No, it's not.
No. But you can still smell the roses no matter what's happening.
Mm.
You know, that there is no loss of sight that this too is here to teach me something. This too is a valuable lesson. This too is an opportunity. This too is whatever. As a positive growth kind of thing, as opposed to he's bringing me down, or he's like changing my mood, or he's, you know, whatever I would blame my partner for.
Mm-mm.
Actually, this comes to let me speak to the two foundation principles of the map, and this is for any intimate relationship, right? So you don't have to be a Tantric couple. You don't, if you want to be in an intimate relationship with anyone, it's imperative. It's absolutely necessary that you have these two keys. One is that you feel safe. Okay. That, again, going now to the 5-year-old, that I feel safe to bloom, I feel safe to speak my truth, I feel safe to express my vulnerability, I feel safe. And only then can we really open to a deeper space in ourselves, is when we feel safe. And it doesn't matter if you're in a man's body, a woman's body, it's absolutely equally the same. And in fact, for some men, it's even more important because of societal conditioning and so forth, that, the whole be strong thing. But feeling safe, I am safe to express myself. I am safe to be me. I am safe to speak my truth, to feel what I feel, to say no when I don't want to ask for what I want. I feel safe.
Yeah.
So the safety doesn't have to be that somebody's going to come around and whack you. It's not about the physical abuse, but it's a sense inside that, am I going to be judged? Am I going to be ridiculed or humiliated? Am I going to be like, those things.
Am I going to pay for it?
Am I going to pay for it? Is it going to be thrown back in my face later? Am I going to have to hear about it 10 years from now? Yeah. I mean, really, this is, when I do couples therapy, it's like, that time 10 years ago, great. Yeah, that time 10 years ago. It's still carrying it. So how safe do I feel? And the other side of that coin is trust. And it's not that I trust that he or she will never hurt me, or that I trust that nothing will ever happen that, will make me unhappy or doubt or scared or angry or grief or whatever. It's that I trust that this person has no intention to do harm.
No malice.
Right. So it's the intention, because you will trip and fall, you will make mistakes, and you will be human in all kinds of ways. You yourself.
Yeah.
You yourself. Forget passing judgment on the other person. But was it intentional? So that again addresses the relationships which may be honestly abusive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there might be relationships that are abusive, and in which case, if it doesn't meet that criteria, do I feel safe, and do I trust that this person isn't going to intentionally, doesn't have the intention to do harm, to hurt me in any way, then that's something you want to, of course, evaluate, check for yourself, and see why are you in that relationship, and that's a whole different conversation that we could have. But assuming it's not that, then these are the, let's say, the two foundation stones on which you build your house.
Truth and trust.
Safety and trust.
All right.
Safety and trust.
So I have a question concerning telling the truth. Like for me, I should be able to say anything that's happening for me, that I'm going through to my partner. And sometimes I feel like it's just telling the painful truth, you know, that it doesn't, I actually, if had I not said it, it would have just spared us a bit of suffering. It doesn't have to be told all the time. And so I have a hard time finding the balance between just like, you know, just saying everything because Boaz is not only my partner, but my best friend, my brother, whatever. And so he should be able to hear anything. And at the same time, wait, how much can he actually take of what's happening for me? So I'd love to hear you on that.
So actually, this is my tips for those two foundation blocks. We'll speak to that. So first, I want to invite you, if you're watching the replay, if you're watching live now or watching the replay, that to just take a moment and close your eyes and consider for yourself, in your current relationship or in your most recent relationship, if you're not in a relationship now, do you feel safe to be yourself, to express yourself? Trust whatever comes. And then, do you trust? Do you trust that there is no ill intention, there is no harm intended? Okay. So you can open your eyes, and you don't have to do anything about that. It's just a self-reflection, a check-in. Where am I at, or where have I been most recently? And it's actually usually a very helpful thing to do on a regular basis, because when we do get stuck in I'm feeling attacked, or I'm being smothered, or I'm being ignored, or I'm, whatever, endless list of things, that's when you can come back to that. Is there ill intention? Am I actually safe? Or is this drama or movie that's actually been playing out my whole life, or most of my life, and now it just has new people to play out with, or a new backdrop, or whatever. So it's a useful technique to do. So now, what are you going to be your best friends in being able, of course, to actually be able to live that way that you feel safe and that you can trust is a process. So I'm not going to pretend that you can do that overnight or even in a week. But you can have the intention and you can work towards it, and it is very possible. I live it now, so I know that it is very possible. I've been living it in my relationship now for 3 years, and I know that it is a way that you can live, and it's sustainable. So, okay, here are two helpful friends. First, my absolute, if you take nothing else away from this, take this. And this applies to every interaction, transaction, relationship you will ever have in your life. don't take it personal. Simple.
That solves already a lot of problems.
Challenging, but simple. Yeah. That's, I mean, like, if you actually apply these two friends, like, really what's left, I don't know, maybe 90% of something, you know, it's really like this is the thing, what I'm sharing is not rocket science. It's the simplest ways that I can communicate on how to have a conscious relationship. But it's actually applying them.
Yeah, and it's remembering them each time you need to remember.
So that's why I make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And then there are tools for each one, or for, you know, to go deeper, but as a roadmap, let's keep it simple so that, you know, detours and roundabouts and flyovers and all kinds of things don't have to get in the way. So don't take it personal. That means that whatever your partner or the other person is feeling, thinking, saying, or doing is about them. You are not the center of their universe, as much as you'd like to be. It's not about you. So also their joy and their elation and their blissed out whatever.
It's also not about you.
It's about them. And yes, I have influence in that.
Or they let us in and part of that.
Right, they let me contribute to that, or let me, you know, help them build that. But it's not me. It's not mine. It's not personal. And so that anger, that whatever words are being said, or that jealousy, or that whatever, it's not personal. It's theirs. When I can do that, I can stand by my partner while he's having whatever experience that has to do with something that I have done or not done, said or not said, or you know, whatever. And I can be like, wow, fascinating. Okay, so that's what it brought up in you. Yeah, I'm like a geek about it. But it is. I'm like, wow, this is what it brought up in you. Okay, and where did that take you? And like, wow, okay. And like, we can be those 2 5-year-olds figuring out, like, I don't know, how you use a magnifying glass to, like, you know, with sun to burn through a leaf or whatever, you know? Something fascinating, you know? It's like, wow, instead of being on the opposite end of you, me.
Yeah.
The sides now.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've taken it personal. And I can tell you, 100% of the time that I get hooked into a trigger or into a argument or tension or something like that, 100% of the time, and please check for yourself, use this tool, please use this tool, it's because I've taken it personal. I've made it about me somehow. Something is, I'm the center of that world.
Yes, so true, so true.
Right, so don't take it personal. That will help you come back to yourself, come back to your center. And then the other side of the coin is I'm responsible, right? Because that other person, my partner or friend or whoever, I don't take it personal, it's about them. So that means when I'm on that side, it's about me. Oh, it's about me. Oh, it's all about me. Whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm feeling, it's about me. Because I'm the center of my world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the two sides of the coin, safety and trust, and don't take it personal, I'm fully responsible. So I'm fully responsible for my thoughts, my actions, my words, and my feelings. And I'm not responsible for somebody else's. I can't solve them, I can't make them go away, I can't, you know, whatever. We can still work things out together, I can still be there to support you, but it's yours. And when it's mine, it's mine. So in comes the emotional self-hygiene, right?
Yeah.
That if I'm responsible, that means I got to do something about it. I got to move it through me. I got to find where the root is and pluck that weed out from the root, not just keep trimming at the top, right? That's I'm taking responsibility. Otherwise, I'm going to carry this with me to whatever landscapes, i.e. relationships, I enter. And maybe this relationship won't trigger that in me because it's a different dynamic, but the one with my boss, or the one with my sister, or the one with my son.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, actually. It's like everything that you can manage to see and love and solve, so to say, in this relationship will be a progress
For
and
everything.
work in other relationships.
Right,
maybe
because
the
it's
next
yours.
relationship or other relationships around.
Because you're healing it in you.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you carry that much less luggage with you wherever, whatever pastures and scenery you visit.
Yeah. The enmeshment that I see the most, though, is when we have fears in common. And so that we feel like we're in the same world together, the same crazy world of fears together. That I wonder how to like untangle that.
Well,
Can be around money, it can be around future plans, projects.
So again, like two
whatever.
5-year-olds, like, wow, again, it's fascinating. To me, it's all about fascination. So if you take that approach of curiosity, adventure, wonder, like, wow, it really will get you far. So I highly suggest that, and it helps keep things light. So again, fascination.
Like two 5-year-olds walking into this dark forest together or whatever, with all the fears together.
So you have this fear, you both have this fear, and you walk into the forest, and it's a fear of the sounds of the animals that happen in the forest. Let's say you both have that fear. And so then you can like be like, yeah, because that one time when my brother brought me here and then he left me and I couldn't find my way out, and all I kept hearing was, and they were like all over the place, and then I had nightmares forever. Oh, okay, that's what happened to you. And then the other one gets to share, yeah, because actually that my mother would say that those are the sounds of the demons or the whatever under my bed, and if I'm not a good girl, then they're going to come when I'm sleeping and they're going to whatever. Point is that you share that you have this common wound, fear, shared demon, whatever it is, and as I bring it out into the light, it helps the other bring it out into the light. As the other brings it out into the light, it gives me permission, and it gives me a modeling that I can bring more out into the light. And so actually it can be a mutual healing. You can move together forward this way. Yeah. Instead of like, okay, I have this and you have this, so we're just going to keep having this double now. You know, that actually, and this is the thing for me with everything, bring it out to the light. Bring it out to the light for it to be loved, for it to be embraced without the judgment. And who better than somebody who actually knows the pain of that? Who better?
So it's actually a blessing.
Can be, depends how you handle it. You know, if you handle it consciously in this way that I just described, it can be an absolute blessing because I know exactly what that feels like. Yeah. And in fact, not only do I know what it feels like, I can catch it like a mile away. You know, before you even like have perhaps thought that it might be active in you. Yeah. I'm aware of it. And so who better than to mirror that back and say like, okay, we can help each other out in this way because there's no way I can get away with this with you. Yeah. And so again, this is the punchline at the end of the webinar, but you don't have to wait. I'll say it now. I'll say it again at the end. You have come together for a reason. There are no accidents. Like,
it's about figuring that reason out.
Why have you brought yourself into this union? Yeah. It can be a union that's short-lived, and it can be a much longer one, but it is to learn, it is to grow, it is to evolve. If we actually perceive and live our relationships as paths to evolution, then how am I meant to grow with this relating? And if it is, like, let's use the example of money, for example, a very common one, then here's a golden opportunity. Because with somebody else, I might be able to get away with, like, you know, that I can mask it, I can mirror it, I can excuse it, I can get away with some. But with this person, I gotta go to the deepest part and pull that weed out.
And there's trust and love to do that.
Exactly, because that 5-year-old in that forest who got left by the brother, or who thinks those sounds are coming from under the bed, how could you not love? How could you not, you know?
So I was teleported back to that forest 2 weeks ago. I totally understand.
Yeah. So these are the two friends that I can say, if you can start to work with that, it's not personal, and really catch yourself when you've reacted, when you are in trigger, when you're in some kind of response, then take a moment, just take a moment. I've taken it personal. Even just to say that, in that moment, I've taken it personal. And then from that space, there can be more opening. Okay, why did I take that personal? This isn't about me. This is about this person. Like, okay, I've made it about me because I prefer the drama over the intimacy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, then we start to think, maybe actually I'm doing this, making it personal, because I prefer to live in the drama, and that's how somehow gives it meaning, feeds my addictions, emotional addiction, game patterns, and so forth, versus I'm willing to go deep into intimacy. And to do that, I have to go deep into myself, and to be vulnerable, and to show myself, and to speak my truth, and to not make it personal when it's not, and it never is. So yeah, these are the two friends, and so it also means I'm responsible, right? So I'm responsible for my projections.
Yeah.
That'll,
Yes.
right? What I perceive that the other, I was sharing with you the other day about this term called redefining. It's a very basic, very important term where, okay, there's reality, and then we change the definition of that reality.
Like we reframe something.
You reframe it, yeah, in NLP terms, it would be reframing. And so you give it a different definition. If it had a neutral definition, because everything does, then I'm now I'm redefining it as something that's against me or for me or this or that, whatever, abandonment, whatever comes up. So I have redefined it. So that's my projection. That's when I enter into projection, is when I've taken it personal and made it about me. So part of I'm responsible is to become aware of when I project a reality, a lens, I'm looking through a lens that isn't really there. So the trick there is to ask, what is the truth? What are the facts? Come back to facts. What was exactly said? Or what was exactly done? Not perceived, not thought, not assumed, not whatever, but facts, facts, facts.
And always confirm your assumptions too, like what you think.
So ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask. So if you have if you perceive something and you're going to make an assumption based on it, it can be totally because you're looking through your lenses, And so then ask. It's so simple. Again, everything I'm sharing today is really actually simple. Difficult to apply all the time, yes, but simple.
Yes.
So, and the other one is, if I'm responsible, so to take it a step further, I'm responsible for my projections. I'm also responsible for my own emotional hygiene, self-hygiene. But I'm also responsible for speaking in I. I'm responsible for sharing about myself.
Yes.
So if I'm not taking it, if everything that's happening over here is about you, then how can I possibly speak about you?
Makes sense.
Right? I'm not going to be like, and you're so angry, and you're so abusive, and you're so inconsiderate, and you're whatever. No. I got to speak in I. So I'm responsible for speaking in I. So this is, these are keys, golden keys. If you would ever doubt, come back to all of these. And this is the framework, the foundation for any healthy, intimate relationship, whether it's romantic, sexual, or not. This is a foundation if you really want to be very connected with somebody. Because stuff will come up. Of course, stuff will come up.
Always do.
Yeah, and what you're sharing now also brings to light maybe that challenge that sometimes could be in relationships when one starts evolving and they go learn something new, and the impulse almost is to start applying it on our partner as well, and not just on ourselves, and analyzing and doing all that, and that's where we stop speaking in I, right? It's like, I learn human design, it's your human design.
Right. So, yes, thank you for mentioning that. So gosh, for my teacher Akash. Thank God, thank God, thank God. Thank the goddess, thank everything. Because from the beginning, she would hammer into me that you can never go around, because I was learning all these new tools, and so of course I was doing exactly what you just said, what everybody does. I mean, come on, let's face it, let's own it. And she was like, how can you assume to, if I'm guessing that this person has regressed into, I'm assuming this person has regressed into child, her question would always be, and where are you? And where are you? I can still picture her saying that, it's like, and where did you end up? Like, you're so busy over there, you forgot about here.
You're already enlightened.
Yeah, like if he's at 5, you're at 3. Let's put it in some perspective. So yeah, so not to come home with any of these tools that I'm sharing, if one of you is watching this in the other order, it's not like we want to fix your partner or show them
Or analyze them.
or show them, mirror to them who they really are. This is self. This is about opening yourself to deeper intimacy.
And so one reply that I could hear from people watching us is that you have to be two to tango. So if I have now all the tools of, classic nonviolent communication, everything's my projections, I talk about what I feel, so on. But if my partner now is still in, still in his projection, still in reactive mode, how can one person be enough to change the dynamics of the relationship?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So for example, the first relationship I worked on that it catapulted me on the conscious path was the relationship with my father. At that time, I had not spoken to him in a couple of years. We had gone into a big fight, and we stopped speaking to each other. And I realized I'm still carrying this. I'm still suffering. It's a problem for me. And so that's why I sought help, and this is how I met my teacher Akash, and that was the beginning. And I worked on it for a long while in different ways, also with primal therapy and other things. And he never had a clue, knew, family constellations, all kinds of things. He never had a clue what I was doing. I never shared any of that with him. There were literally 3 sentences I needed to say to him, and they were all thank yous when we did finally speak again. And that was it. And then we continued to have a relationship. If you look at anything, give me your hand. Close your hand, give me your hand. Yeah, okay. So here are 3 spaces, let's say. 3 spaces, right? Okay. So this one is the one who's going through the NLP and the whatever other training and whatever, right? So this one is going to move. There is no way this constellation can remain the same.
Yes.
Impossible. If one shifts, the dynamic shifts.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that these 2 have to speak an I and have to, my father, it's not like he was following any of these rules that I'm saying at all. But I changed.
The dynamic change.
Right.
Yeah.
The dynamic changes. So that's the yes part.
Yeah.
Also, the yes part is that if I begin, if it's my partner and we are having a very close relationship, and I begin to speak in this way, that it takes one to make the first step, and that's an invitation.
And also modeling, you model.
Modeling.
Yeah.
Come, take a step also. Not because you need to be fixed and you're wrong and da-da-da. No, but because it's inspiring, because it's maybe the other can see the benefits that, hey, this is a healthier, or this is less tension, or this is more loving, or less energy, or whatever. Yeah, a way of doing things. So it's practical. It makes sense. It's functional. So it takes one to make that first step, and that's an invitation to the other, and the other can open up to also take the step. May not take the same kind of step, may not go to those classes and do the trainings and the groups and all of that. Doesn't have to.
No, and waking up to the fact that there's another way.
And there's another way.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the yeses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the no is that, and then sometimes there is that threshold that you reach that I need this, and or I have evolved in this way, and there's no longer a compatibility.
Yes.
And to recognize that, because I would be, making a fool of everybody to pretend like that doesn't happen. Of course it happens. Of course it happens. And again, what's the price you're willing to pay? Are you willing to keep yourself small or unsatisfied or unhealthy? And for how long?
Yeah. But then you don't spend your time blaming the other person.
No.
Or asking
No.
him or her to change, but just, make the decision that is that okay for you? Can you be with that person?
That's
even
right.
if he or her will never change?
That's right.
Or
That's
is it
right.
time to walk away, basically?
That's right.
Yeah.
So with my father, the same example. After we started speaking again, then we went on to have 10 years of a decent relationship where we could laugh, and he invited me and my then husband and my brother and his wife to spend time with him, something he had never done in his life. He hadn't been in our lives like full time. He left the house when I was 1, so it was not a very close kind of relationship. And so we went on for a decade to have, and basically I did everything that I could to be the daughter that I would have wanted to have. Basically, that it doesn't matter what the other person is doing. I'm not going to lose myself for that. I'm not going to abandon myself for that.
Yes.
So to be true to myself. And then came a point where I realized that actually now we have completed with what we were meant to learn with each other, and with no ill feelings. I walk away because actually this isn't satisfying, or this isn't healthy, or this isn't fulfilling in that way. So it doesn't mean you have to do it forever. It's just like you said, at some point you come to that point where
you have to make a decision.
You make a decision, and that's okay. And until then I accepted it, that this is the way it is, and it was great. I got to have a daddy. I was so happy, and that was that. So yeah. So those are the building foundation blocks and the friends to support you with that. So that's part of the gift of this webinar for you. That's something I feel like everybody should know about. Everybody can use to some degree, for sure. And now I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. It's not going to be for long. But just close your eyes and just notice, do you resonate with this I am responsible for myself and not the other? And also, don't take it personal. It's not about me when it's not about me. So just check with yourself, is there resonance?
And if there's some sort of resistance,
We'll get there. And then check for yourself, are you actually living that way in your relationship right now? And whatever the truth is, trust it. First answer that comes, and then maybe there's a little side answer afterwards, it's fine. Are you actually living something like this in your relationship? And now, what would you need to get there? Maybe that's tools, or maybe that is your partner's support and collaboration, or maybe, whatever comes, it's fine. Try to make it about you first, and then about your partner. So what is it that you would need from you? And then what is it that you need in terms of the relationship from your partner in order to get there? Not take it personal, as well as I'm responsible. In order to feel safe and trust. Okay, and now the last question is, what are you afraid of? Is there any fear or resistance in terms of taking responsibility or in terms of realizing, accepting, acknowledging it's not personal. So, for example, perhaps it's not personal could make you feel like, well, I'm not important or I'm not special if I have to fully accept that. Whether taking responsibility would mean that you might have to look at some things or own some things, work on some things, and there's some resistance there. So whatever your truth is, it's fine. Just reflect on that for a moment inside. Whenever that's complete for you, opening your eyes. If you have paper around and you want to make some notes about that, you're of course welcome to do that. And again, this is a healthy practice to do for yourself. What do I need in actually for that to happen? And that'll be a different answer if you're in the same relationship, or even if you're not in the same relationship. Two different relationships, it'll be a different answer from time to time, because you will evolve. So you'll have different needs. From myself and from the other. And then what is the resistance or the fear in being able to actually own that, own those truths? Because they are truths, they're absolute truths, they're not something I came up with in my head. You know.
And they will lead to putting boundaries and expressing more honestly and all.
Oh, everything. Exactly. So this is how you get to behind the, okay, simple but quite big, you know, how do I get there? Okay, what do I need for myself, for my partner, and what is my resistance or my fear or my no about having that? So now I want to transition actually to another thing that is part of the map for me, and that's commitment. So I remember that was a question that you guys had at one point when we were sharing about, you know, what is the commitment? And so this is part of what is being in a conscious, intimate relationship. So the commitment is to three things. One is to love. Love and acceptance. And that is, I love and accept myself as I am, where I'm at, how I am. And I love and accept my partner as he or she is, where they are, as they are. It's not, I'm not trying to fix anything. So there's a commitment to love. And if that commitment is there to love and acceptance, then that supersedes the judging and the bickering, because there's an acceptance and there's a love that's holding the relationship, holding you in the relationship.
It's like a container.
It's part of the container.
Holding everything as human as we are to that point, with all the fumbling and all the mistakes and all.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to, you know, can I trust that this person has no ill intention? It has to be held in a container of love and acceptance. So that's one commitment. And one commitment is to awareness. Consciousness, awareness, we'll just use the word presence, so that I will stay present, I will stay aware. So sometimes in those heated emotional situations, bouts of jealousy or, you know, whatever else comes through, we're not present and we're not aware. And so how can I pull that back, pull myself back into that space of, I'm going to stay present, I'm going to stay aware. And it's different ways for different people. I'm not going to pretend that in this webinar you're going to find the exact ways to do that. But this is their commitment, that I am committed to presence. I am committed to awareness and bringing that more and more into the relationship. And those two together make that container, that bowl, that holding in which I can feel safe and trust, in which we can both flower and grow.
And in other words, this is about bringing myself back to the center and staying in the heart, basically.
Stay in the body. You know, stay in your sensation. I mean, different people have different approaches to how to do that. But one is to stay with your sensations and stay present to yourself, that I'm okay, everything's fine, like, you know, where I am. And then from that space, be able to connect to love. Usually, love is not the easiest to connect to in the moment of, so centering sometimes helps, but sometimes people actually, that's their entry point. Like, okay, if I can connect to love, then I can feel centered. So it, you know, when you have access to different designs, different cosmic rays and so forth, lead to different entry points. But these are the two commitments that hold your container. And so I know that I was trained by my neo-Tantra teacher, that when we would do our sacred meditations as a couple, we would bow down. And when we bow down to love itself. I'm not bowing down to the personality.
Yeah.
I'm bowing down. This person is representing love itself. And what I've added to it is that this person is also representing consciousness. This person is also representing awareness, presence.
Yeah.
And so to be able to, if I anticipate that you aren't going to hold it, kind of thing, then that's what I'll get more often than not. But if I am bowing down, or if I'm looking at you, my commitment is to see love and presence, consciousness in the other, and to bring it alive in myself as much as possible, then I will get more and more of that. That's what I will attract. That's at the level of resonance where I will be.
Yes. Yes.
So this is the container. And then the third commitment is to your higher self. So why? Because if I'm doing anything of what I'm doing for the other, what happens when the other wavers, or stumbles and falls, or is no longer in the picture? If I'm doing it for our relationship, so when my drive, when my commitment is to the relationship or to the person, then I can't flow with change. I can't flow with real life. And I have nothing inside of me anchoring my commitment. My commitment needs to be anchored inside of me, that this is for my highest good, that this is for my growth, that this is for my healing, this is for my transformation. And yes, he or she gets to benefit. And yes, we as a relationship get to evolve. And everybody gets to benefit. But the commitment is to my highest self, because otherwise you don't have that root, you don't have that anchor, like a boat that throws an anchor. You don't have that inside of you. So when the outside moves and changes,
then you're dependent on it.
Yeah. That's the part where you look for the relationship to help you evolve in your growth, rather than feed your need for safety, or have someone else make you happy, so on and so forth. Right?
Yeah, and it's also where you go, that this relationship is showing me enough, and so my commitment is to evolving me, and then the external world will automatically mirror that. The micro and the macro, microcosm, macrocosm. The inside is a reflection of the outside is a reflection of the inside. And so let me have that commitment, and nothing can shake that then.
Right.
So
it's beyond the personal.
Yeah, it's not identified, it's not object associated. It's not with this specific person, or with having a partner, or with being in a relationship, or it's not specific to something that is, of course, ephemeral. It will change. Everything in life does, including you, and primarily you. That's the point. Thank God for that. I mean, would you be spending all the money and all the time and all the effort and all the energy to not change? I remember having that conversation with my mother. She was on the phone crying, you're changing, I don't recognize you. And I was sitting there, I was in a Vipassana center in India. It's the beginning, okay? But, this happens to people. And, I mean, we could talk at that point. It wasn't during silence. So, but just to say, it was at the end. And I was sharing about, my age and all that. And she was crying, and oh, who are you? And I was like, no, Mom, I'm still the same daughter, I'm still the same one. And my teacher, Akash, said exactly what I just said. Would you be doing all this to not change? Is that a truth that you haven't changed? Or is that just something you need to say in order to pacify, and therefore again keep yourself small,
Yes.
to maintain a certain dynamic in a
And
certain
reassure.
relationship. So of course, my mother, being the amazing woman she is, she's just evolving with all kinds of different versions of her daughter, and and that's beautiful, and I'm blessed that way. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but I know I'm blessed that way. So I want to actually invite you to close your eyes now. So this is where you get to reflect on yourself. So can you make this commitment to yourself? Can you make the commitment that you will not abandon yourself? That you will not betray yourself? And that you can stay with a commitment to your higher self inside of you. You can say to your heart or to your soul. It depends on the wording, whatever you feel comfortable, whatever you can identify with. But it's a commitment not to your personality, but to a higher place in you. And that you're not going to abandon it. You're not going to betray that part of you. And that you can call in love and consciousness, awareness to support you to do that. Just taking a moment of that, taking a deep breath. And if there isn't a full yes, that's okay also. That's important. Where's the no? What's it about? Or what's the conditionality? That yes under these circumstances, but no under these circumstances. Yes in this relationship, but not in this relationship. And most of us have that with our original families, our parents, or with our partner, or with our children. So the most intimate, close relationships. And to not judge yourself at all for whatever the answer is, at all. To actually thank yourself for being honest, safe enough, trust enough in yourself that you can connect to your truth. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I also want to say with this that, you know, it's something that sometimes for some people, it's something you're going to have to wake up every morning and choose.
We were talking about this morning. That we have to choose every day.
Because we're choosing a new person. But as you said, if we always change, that's the beauty of it also, because it's like exploring all the time new people. It's like falling in love every morning again.
So then the real question is not, am I choosing her or am I choosing him? It's, am I choosing my highest evolution? And is this in alignment?
Okay.
That's a good clarification.
Yeah, yes. It's not, am I choosing the other person?
It is, but it's no.
Yeah, it's like
externally it is, because that's the external action, right?
Is this relating? Is this person, is this relationship still serving my heart?
That's your commitment. And if the answer is no for a moment or whatever, then how can I bring more love and consciousness or awareness to this? Have I let go of that container? What's my part in this? And then if it can't be resolved, then that's also part of life. But if it can, then how do I bring in more love and consciousness into this?
And actually, that for me, that usually brings up beautiful clarity about even simple actions during a day. Or this actually I don't really want to do, or this is I really want to, or this is how I want to interact. And then when that's communicated, there's like new magic that's created from that clarity.
So,
I'm like, wow,
so it's simple, it's basic, but
but it's about integrating it in everyday life.
Yeah. So the one thing I want to say for everyone out there and here is that, so maybe if you want to close your eyes, it's up to you, but to connect to your heart or connect to the parts of you that feel contracted or feel afraid or feel resistance. I want to speak to those parts for a moment. Whatever fear you have about exposing this or letting this go or owning this, so connecting to whatever that is for you, whatever your fear is, if this reveals itself or this happens, or it cannot be worse than remaining closed. It cannot. Because when you remain closed or keep it in or not express your truth or whatever it is, you are betraying yourself. You are abandoning yourself. And nothing that could happen on the outside could be worse than that on the inside. Nothing. So to believe that, to know it as a truth, that no one could possibly hurt you or say something to you or do something or whatever in any way worse than you abandoning your highest truth, your highest self, you abandoning yourself. Yeah, so this is it's very exciting for me, this whole subject. It's my passion, what can I say? I'm that person. Okay, so I have a few more points and then we can go to questions. Okay, we've already done over an hour.
Yeah, there are a few questions on both pages.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few points. One is to remember that relationships, intimate relationships, romantic, sexual, or otherwise, will bring up wounds, will bring up triggers,
Baggage.
stuff,
Yeah.
that category of stuff. So to know that that is normal. Why does that happen? Because when there is enough love, then that which was judged or rejected or shunned or whatever, it has a chance to, it's an opportunity that this can also be embraced into love. This can also be brought home back to love. This can also be accepted by you. And then of course in the relationship.
So it's safe enough for
It's safe enough for that to happen, yeah, for that to come up. So to not see it as a problem. This is the next reminder. So the first one is that relationships, intimate relationships will bring it up. So when you see that happen, second reminder, it's not a problem. It's a blessing. That means, that means we are going deep enough. We are loving enough. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the moment where, again, you go back to your commitments, you go back, to everything that I've spoken about. That's when that, like, yes, now, toolbox, open. Yes, here it is. Okay, 5-year-old, Forrest, here we go. Okay. That's that moment. That's that moment. So it will come up in your triggers and wounds, will come up in your intimate relationships, and that it's a gift. So to start to see things, to shift the perspective, that this is not a problem, that, oh God. Of course, if you're on the hamster wheel of like, this is happening again, and this is happening again, and this is happening again, then you might want to see that you actually haven't gotten to the root of something. Yes. Yeah. But solely on the fact that something is coming up, no. This is an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to love even more, an opportunity to be present even more, an opportunity to be responsible even more, an opportunity to expand even more. Beyond whatever I thought was possible, because I'm out of my wall, right? So, right? So these are reminders, a little bit of maybe like a cold shower, but that's the beauty of it. That is being in a conscious relationship. And the one thing that can really help you with that is gratitude. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful for this mirroring, because I can be, in some cave somewhere, or interacting only with those who stroke my ego, pump it up, tell me what I want to hear, or, you know, keep it light, keep it surface, whatever. I could be in that situation. There would be little minimal triggers. They would be, you know, easy.
But that's not where the real work is.
But that's not where evolution is.
Yeah.
That's not where truth is. That's not where freedom is. Because in none of those situations will I see myself truly. I need to know. I can't see if I'm having somebody tell me how great I don't know, let's say, that actually I can't, I'm not very good at speaking in public, and I have everybody telling me, oh, you're so great at speaking in public. And then I don't actually realize that maybe I could work on it, you know, work on my presentation or my voice, how I speak out or whatever. Yeah? I need somebody to reflect the truth to me. And sometimes that happens in the triggering or in the wounds that come up, that I can really see what's still alive in me. And in that moment, thank you, gratitude. Thank you. Now I know this is still alive in me. I thought it was done. And actually this happens with me and my partner sometimes, that I say about, there's one wound, one core wound I still have that's active. It's the I'm not important wound. And about twice a year it comes up. So I have this every 6 months or so. I've seen it over the past few years that, okay, I can kind of time it. Not that I'm like, okay, hey,
It's coming.
no, but it's like something like, you know, every twice a year. Maybe it's changed now. Let's see. But in that moment, I get, it's not done yet. Thank you. My utmost gratitude. Thank you. Because otherwise, I would think that's healed. I'm done.
Yes.
You know, I can take a holiday on the beach or whatever. Yeah, move on. And then what happens? You come to your deathbed and you leave this body and you meet with a bardo, and all your attachments, all your aversions, all the parts of you that you didn't recognize in your living life are presented to you. And that's how your soul then evolves in the bardo, and your next life is chosen based on what lessons you still need to learn. So you know what? If I'm reminded every 6 months until I get it, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, beyond what happens in your deathbed, it still plays out all the time.
Yeah.
Without being.
But let's say it's one of the, you surround yourself in a situation that you can, you know, avoid.
Yeah.
Right. That's still like something running, you're functioning without you being aware of it.
Yeah.
Which limits your freedom.
Yeah, it's not freedom. It's not, you're not free now.
Yes.
And you won't be in the future. So this is the gratitude piece. As you can, it's kind of like the playfulness piece. It's so important. It's like, it's the pillar against which you can lean and be like, okay. 5-year-olds in the forest, and thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so.
I love this analogy of 5-year-olds in the forest.
Or, you know, at the sea or whatever, if you don't have forest. I didn't know forest until I married my first husband, so yeah. And so now I want to actually speak to the term consorts, because it's something that I use. And what does that mean? So consorts are two people who are devoted. So this is the extra ingredient. So up until now, everything I have said applies to every intimate relationship, period. Okay. Now, consorts. Consorts are dedicated to their own evolution and through the relationship to each other's evolution. And through that, perhaps others then see that as a modeling, and it affects humanity as a whole. Doesn't have to. They can be, you know, in the farm somewhere, nobody really interacts with them or something. It's okay. But consorts is I'm in service for your awakening. And in that service, I evolve towards awakening. Not from a place of, you know, I'll do whatever you say and da master, but yes, in service.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in service to your evolution, And this is the part that now, this is the ingredient that tips the balance sometimes, that not all relationships are meant to go there or can go there, and that's perfectly fine. There's no judgment on that, is the commitment to freedom. So when I say that, there's a bit of like,
What does that mean?
Yeah,
what exactly does she mean by that? Does she really know other people?
Yeah.
Is that what she means?
Are we, yeah, is that the part where we talk about open relationships?
No, it's not. So I
Yeah, so maybe say, what kind of freedom?
Let it sink in.
Yeah,
So, I'm committed to the freedom of being myself. That I will not hold myself back to make it easy, or to make it fun, or to make it light, or to make it easy, whatever. I will not hold myself back. I am committed to my own freedom, to express myself in my highest potential, whatever that means. If that means that you do rituals and your partner isn't okay with that, like, you know, you smudge things, or you know, chant, or you whatever, that I'm not going to not do that because it bothers you.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it in front of you if that's okay for me or whatever, but I'm committed to my freedom.
Yes.
And equally to yours. That you can be what you were born to be. You can shine as bright as you were meant. Live your full potential. I'm committed to that freedom. We won't be together as partners, lovers, whatever. Even if that means that I have to look at something, I'm committed to that, to your freedom, to your evolution, as much as I'm committed to mine. And again, it may mean at some point you part ways, but it doesn't have to. Because the freedom to evolve into your highest potential is that which the consort bows down to.
Yes.
Is that be the soul you came here and forgot you are. And in that shining, I also am. In that giving you free, I can only give what I have. So that's the freedom I'm talking about. It doesn't have to do with open relating. It can, but it's not about freedom being with other people. It's a freedom within. It's a true freedom, and it's irrelevant. It's irrespective of external factors. So that's real freedom, in my opinion. It doesn't have to do that I need freedom from you, or permission to do something. It's not a for or against. It's not, that still keeps it in the same dynamic.
Yeah.
It's that I am free to be me, to be my authentic self.
Yes.
And therefore, so are you. I want that for you too. And when you fall and you forget, I will help you remember. That's the devotion of the consort. Because in those moments, not for my best interest, oh, you know, okay, this actually, you know, will be easier for me or whatever. No. But actually, this might still be even more challenging for me, and yet rise.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, it's not tough if you find the freedom within to be free for yourself. Then it's super easy. That's the key.
So it has to be based on everything else we talked about.
Yes.
The trust, the friendship,
Everything. This is the additional ingredient.
Right.
So everything I talked about before is for all relationships, and then this is the additional ingredient for consorts.
Right. You can't just say, I'm going to now be in service, my relationship is in service, but I don't feel safe.
No, none of that.
Doesn't really work.
No.
Then it just gets a lot of baggage and take.
No, this is the cherry on top of the ingredients that make the cake. The raw vegan chocolate cake. The bio cake. So yeah, it's that. And that's not every relationship. And you gotta be honest with yourself if that's where you're at within you, that you are free to be you, and then that can you